Winter is coming, and the tension keeps on ratcheting up. Oathkeeper. We've got another really good episode with this one, and things they keep moving forward. They keep ratcheting up. The stakes keep getting raised, and alliances keep shifting quite a bit, especially at King's Landing. And somewhat surprising to me, we get an answer to the question of who laid out the events of a couple episodes ago. Again, I still can't talk about what it was that happened, but we find out who was involved and who was behind that a bit sooner than I would have expected. Who it actually turns out to be was not shocking, but cool. It all panned out well. I mean, the rationale worked for me. Who it was who was actually involved makes total sense. Now that I actually know who it is, it's probably better they didn't string it out into like some sort of long season mystery, because it would have been anticlimactic. Couple episodes wait, then we get the answers. Yeah, it feels good given what the answers are. We get some great key moments with Elena Tyrell and with Marjorie. Marjorie, she's so good at just working people and manipulating them and just making it feel real, making it feel natural. I've talked about this before, and she does more of it. Everything going on with the Lannisters is really interesting, and sort of the dynamic and seeing this family fray apart, this family that has seemed so tightly knit up to this point. I mean, yeah, they didn't all like each other so much, but they always seemed united in their goals. Now, I don't know so much. I feel like I need to touch on what happened with Searcy and Jamie again. I don't want to get into the specifics of it. I talked about some of the aspects of it that bothered me last time. I wasn't as bothered by it as a lot of people really took it harshly. I wasn't thrilled with it. I didn't take it as harshly as a lot of people did. That said, it was kind of going to ride on how it played out after that for me as to whether or not it was really going to work. And it kind of seems like they're ignoring it. Like, this thing happened that should have a really major impact on these characters, and it doesn't seem to have done that. And that makes me dislike it a bit more. When the whole thing happened last episode, I was kind of like, we'll see how they play out the aftermath of this. Well, there kind of is no aftermath. The dynamic hasn't changed at all. And that makes me just feel that the whole thing just wasn't worth it. Lord Baelish came back last episode, and he's still doing his thing again. And you know what? Every time he's on screen, after his scene, I feel like I need to shower. He's just so slimy. I mean that as the greatest compliment to this actor and this character, because that's what he needs to be, and it just works wonderfully. Jon Snow continues to be forming into a leader character that I'm actually enjoying. After the events of last season, he seems to have lost a lot of his innocence. He's much more jaded, he's much more worldly, and it just feels more earned now what they're trying to do with his character versus where it seemed like they were going in previous seasons. Now I'm like, yeah, I dig it. And we got Locke, that sneaky bugger who cut off Jaime's hand last season. Well, he's back and doing some interesting stuff too. We actually spent a fair amount of time at Craster's Keep, which is where the mutiny happened last season with the members of the Night's Watch. And it really makes you feel really uncomfortable whenever we're at Castle Black, seeing how bad these guys can go if they just don't have a strong hand to keep them in place. It's really best exemplified by this guy, Burn Gorman, who's always good. I remember him as the guy with the weird mouth from Torchwood, and he gives an edge and a layer of interest to a character who really should just be a throwaway. Also north of the Wall, we get a little more insight into the White Walkers, and it's not a deep bit of insight. I mean, you're never going to get a ton of depth to these guys. I think it's pretty obvious they are always going to be just villains. They're just evil. They're something that's always going to be a problem. There isn't going to be layers and depths and humanity to them. There isn't supposed to be. But we are seeing more of sort of how they function in sort of a logistical sense. And it's nice just to get little doses of them and get a little more sense of what they are and how they do what they do. I mean, we still don't have a full picture, not even close, but these little nuggets, they're nice, and they sort of just open up the world a little bit as far as these creatures go, and it makes you more scared of them, to be frank. Across the Narrow Sea, we have Daenerys doing her thing at yet another slaver city. It's really just fun watching her roll through this whole Slaver's Bay area and see her taking on what she sees as a severe, deep injustice in the world. And of course, it's just building her forces more and more to eventually go after the Iron Throne and Westeros. And I just cannot wait for that to happen. This was one of those really building everything up episodes, but it just builds everything up really well, and it's enjoyable unto itself. Aside from the really total dropping of the ball in terms of the follow-up of Searcy and Jamie's dynamic together, aside from that really good, really solid episode, really looking forward to the next one. So let me ask you this, and this is a question for those who are watching the show, not who have read the books and already know the answers, but who do you think is going to be the next major character to bite the dust? Drop something down in the comments on either who you think it is or who you think it should be, who you'd like to see. And when I say major character, I mean someone whose name is in the opening credits of the show and ideally who's been around for more than one season. Who do you think's going to bite it next, or who do you want to see bite it? Drop something down in the comments, let's talk about it. And until next time, this council is adjourned.